Good afternoon. My name is Christopher Gillen. I am doing this speech for Professor Dew's comm class. First thing I would like to do is show you, sir, I do have part of an audience here, and around this corner I have 4 more individuals that do not want to be on camera, being that we are in the military, and this is a pretty hot topic right now. Now, what we're going to be talking about is the military opening up combat jobs to women and integrating them into the entire force. Well, being in combat and not being able to save a buddy is one of the values that we cannot deal with. We can't take that risk. Being that I am a combat veteran with over 50 months of combat experience and been injured in combat, I think I have a pretty good understanding of this. So firstly, what we want to talk about is our physical differences between a man and a woman. Dr. Jones did a documentary for Harvard University in which he states the differences in muscle structure, bone structure, size, and limitations between men and women. It is a pretty known fact that men and women were built for 2 separate different jobs. You can go back as far a time as you want, and on skeletal remains alone, you can see the physical differences. Why is there such a big physical difference between them? Because they were meant to lead 2 separate paths, not to do the same job. If that was the case, we would all be the same size, same muscle structure, and be able to do everything the same. Now, the designs of men and women, just in the muscular alone, between the biceps, triceps, and chest, total different muscles, different size of the muscles and different muscle structures built for different jobs. When we go into the back and to our legs, they're built for different areas. If you look at a calf muscle on a male compared to one on a female, there is a noticeably huge difference, especially on the thigh and torso area. Because we are different in these aspects, we can conclude that women weren't built to carry as much weight, and men are built not only for the weight, but men are built for stamina over long periods of time, which women aren't built for. We also need to look at the mental capacities. Whereas a man has a mental understanding of accomplishing a mission, no strings attached, no emotion involved, women are hardwired differently. They're more the nurturing and motherly mental capacity to make them maybe care a little more or get a little more involved within that area. And while we're talking, I want to show you again, I still have people here. But as long as we're talking about the mental functions and differences, you also have to consider values. Values that are instilled in men since the beginning of time is to conquer, destroy, and come back victorious. Where women's values are to bring out that motherly figure and worry more of the care and the well-being of others than what a man would be. We also need to explore the will to live. Because of the women's ability to be more nurturing, they may have a more of a will to live and come back to their family than a man would, where a man is mentally prepared to give his life in pursuit of victory over returning to his family. In 2003, I was on a convoy in Baghdad, Iraq, where we started taking enemy fire from the tops of buildings. Prior to the convoy, we had a female gunner who, while unmounted on the ground, could properly charge her 50 cal weapon using her feet as braces and destroying targets. Well, what happened is during the convoy, and when we started taking fire, first thing to go from her was her mental ability. She was more concerned about trucks ahead of us that were getting hit than concentrating on what her job needed to be to return fire. That was the first mistake. Second mistake was being harnessed in a vehicle and having to rely on upper body strength to charge her weapon. She was not physically strong enough to charge that weapon and return fire. What this resulted in is 2 deaths of military service members and 5 casualties, wounded personnel. What it took was myself reaching out, bringing her out of the turret, taking it over myself, charging the weapon properly, and returning fire. And this is a very important lesson that was learned. That just because in a training environment we may look like we're equal, we're not. Another point I want to bring up is, as a military instructor, where men and women are supposed to be equal, over 4 years, time and time again, we've seen that the women were not physically strong enough to pick up and install aviation parts. Not only was the parts too heavy for the women, but also the force of torque to install them was just way greater than what they could accomplish. We lost many training hours, man hours, training women that we eventually had to send on to different job fields for inability to be able to install and reinstall these parts. In closing, I would like to just reiterate, we are not created for the same jobs. We are not created to be equals. Now, I'm not trying to take anything away from the female warriors that are out there, or the females that are the firefighters and police force and so on. But our society needs to realize we were created different for a reason. Whether you believe it was in God's creation or natural selection, or we just evolved this way. Either way, we were made different. Different jobs at different times, different mental capacities, and we need to realize, as much as people want to yell and cry and argue that we're equal, we are not. Do I have any questions from the audience? No questions. Thank you very much and have a nice day.